Welcome back. I made a video a long time ago. Not that long ago, it's probably like a year or so. But the title of it was that comfort is one of the worst addictions there is, particularly in our modern world today. And I'm going to make this sort of follow-up video where I sort of elaborate on those sort of ideas. Because I think this is something that afflicts many of us. Comfort feels nice, but the excessive indulgence in comfort is something that really atrophies us over time. It sort of, shrinks our capacities as a person, and it leads to a situation where we can sort of live a life that never really changes. There are many people, many elderly people, alive nowadays who have sort of lived the same life for the last 20, 30, 40 years. And they sort of reach that place, that state in their existence, because they have never had the courage to truly step out beyond their comfort zone. They just stick to what they know, and they don't, flirt with the unknown, which, something I've spoken about many, many times is that in order to grow, in order to develop, in order to evolve, we have to cultivate a relationship with the unknown, the scary, the fearful aspects of reality, the things that unsettle us. And we need to develop within us this disposition, this urge, this motivation to unsettle ourselves from time to time, to put ourselves in positions of controlled stress. Because there's something that we learn from seriously confronting adversity. Whilst adversity in the moment, it feels shit, we immediately want to recoil and turn away from anything that sort of frightens us. When we, instead develop within us this capacity to stare at fear in the face and to look at it and to not sort of, veer our eyes, our gaze away from it, to actually stare at it in the face, that is when we truly grow and discover ourselves. If we develop this sort of habit of never pushing ourselves, never putting ourselves in situations which are unsettling, where will we end up? It is obvious. It is obvious your life will remain the same. So I want to ask you, are you content with your life? Are you content with being the same person over and over again because it's comfortable? I think for many people, the answer will be, well, no. But there will be no grit behind that sort of no. So many people have all these sort of ideas about, changing and evolving and yada, yada, yada. They speak about it. They speak about it a lot. But they never put in the embodied action, because the embodied action requires courage. And most people don't have courage. Most people don't have that willingness to, to fail at something. In my most recent video, I used the example of sort of picking up a new instrument. But you can use many different fucking examples, right? We step into this domain, whether it's learning a new skill or studying some new thing, or we start a new sport or anything. We pick up something that we're shit at, we're a beginner at. And when we're at that sort of phase, our egos get sort of, rattled, because we realize that, there are certain things in the world, in reality, that we are not that good at. And we have to accept that. We have to accept that we are, in certain domains, shit. But it doesn't mean that we're going to stay shit at that thing over and over again. When I first picked up a guitar, or I first played the drums, I was shit at it. But I stuck at it. And that's the difference, When we have perseverance and this willingness to do things that feel frustrating, if we can sort of burn through that sort of frustrating resistance, beautiful things happen. But those beautiful things happen over after a long period of perseverance. And unfortunately, this is the case with a lot of things in life. A lot of things that you want to master and get good at, you have to, accept the fact that they will require many, many hours of dedicated focus, dedicated attention, and you will encounter a lot of resistance, a lot of difficulty. Nothing will come easily to you. Sometimes people have, talent. Think of, a young footballer who has a lot of talent. They're a wonder kid, but they have not got no, discipline, no inner sort of, grit, no willingness to sort of put in the hours of training, and consequently, whilst they may show early promise, they never fulfill their potential, because fulfilling your potential requires both talent and also discipline and hard work. And the talent thing, you can be gifted that by your simple genetic advantage, but the hard work part, you actually have to do something for that. You actually have to sit with yourself. You actually have to really grapple with it. And the hard work part is often the aspect of skill development that is the most difficult to really cultivate. Obviously, there is, I suppose, a genetic component in how hardworking you are, but you still have to actually work, And, I speak about often on my channel the importance of rest. And I think rest is very important. We need stillness. It is no, healthy form of existence to be a, constant workaholic, to constantly define your life by work. But, work is important. Work is beautiful. If we, understand the sacredness of it, understand the sacredness of the fact that, we are here. We have this incarnation. We have this body. We have this mind. We have this soul. And, when we put dedicated attention to certain things, we can expand certain capacities of our person, of our being. If I, practice an instrument over and over and over again, I will get better at that instrument. My capacities as a person expand. When I make videos over and over again, when I practice speaking, when I write, when I do these things over and over again, I get better at them. There's this sort of encoding, there's this processing within my brain, within my unconscious, and with each passing night of sleep, when I sort of replenish and grow new neurons and all that sort of good stuff, new neural circuits, I get better at things. And so do you. But you have to practice. You have to do things. You have to dedicate your energy and your focus in that pursuit, and you have to fucking do it. There's no two way around it. And it's just difficult, but it's also beautiful because you reap the rewards. When I make these videos, when I'm just speaking to the camera, I speak in a much different way to the way I did when I first started. And I knew when I first started that, I'm kind of a bit shit at this, but I knew that the more I do it, slowly and almost imperceptibly with each video, I get better, I get more confident, I get more boisterous, more energetic. I'm able to express myself in a way that I feel most comfortable to do, And, I take myself back. Recording a video was a weird and new thing. I didn't understand how to do it. I didn't have this sort of the deep neural groove sort of set in, the deep sort of, routines of how do I introduce, how do I speak, how do I go from one idea to the other. I was just testing out, and obviously, I was uncomfortable. But now I've reached the point, yes, I've not perfected this art. I will never perfect this art. We are always in this constant state of becoming. We're always in a constant state of evolution. We never remain stagnant. And as a slight detour, I think I want to, to any of you perfectionists out there who, want to achieve this sort of ideal perfection, if you focus really intensely on what I just said, that we are always in a state of becoming, understand that perfection, that ideal perfection, is never going to be something that you fully achieve, because even when you reach what you thought was perfection, when you get there, you'll know there are always going to be subtle things to sort of evolve and expand and develop. And I think we should accept that, accept this fact that there are always going to be new things to expand and develop these skills within ourselves. But we should also be grateful for the skills that we have developed within ourselves. And all of these sort of things, like I said, it requires hard work. It requires a discipline of the mind and your attention, a willingness to sit with resistance, a willingness to confront sort of difficulty, but also an understanding that when you are confronting difficulty, right, that strife, that sort of force of sort of scraping against things, scraping against the edge of your true capacities, even if you fail, if you don't achieve what your ego wants to achieve, understand that you're still learning. Every failure is also an opportunity for learning. That's something that we all know. We all know, but we rarely heed that lesson. We look at our failures and we're like, oh shit, and it demotivates us. When I look at failures, I'm invigorated by them. I'm invigorated by what goes wrong. I pay attention to those sorts of things. We pay attention to our failures, and then we can learn from it. And we should also pay attention to our successes. We should pay attention to what went well with this, but we shouldn't be complacent. Some people they get a success, they get something, a win, something that goes right in their life, and they relax and they get complacent. And they don't really pay attention to how they won. They're just like, oh, I won. It's all done there. It's just, this is, I'm getting many more ideas sort of churning up, but I don't want to take this much longer. But I will continue on this topic of, how do we understand losses and how do we understand wins? Because I think it's an important sort of thing for all of us to understand when we reflect on our life, because, we're all moving somewhere, We all have goals, we all have objectives, we all have places we want to be, Perhaps it's our ego who has these sort of lofty ideas, but we should honor them. We should honor our deep desires of the heart, We should honor that feeling, and we should ferment and cultivate that motivation to chase after that. It feels good. It feels right to pursue our passions, and this is something, it sounds almost cliche to say, but it's just true. It's just true. And part of what I'm doing here on this sort of channel, for the podcast that I've done, is, I'm conveying my own experience and my own sort of internal processes on how I've sort of thought about these things throughout my life, how I've enacted them and changed my life in response. And, I'm packaging it all up and I'm splicing it all out there to hopefully give you guys, the people listening, the people watching, something to chew on, something that will resonate with your own life. That's the important thing. And if I can help just one of you guys out there, I think my work has been done, And if this has helped you listening to this one or many other ones, do let me know. Do open up dialogue. I'm very excited and very interested in speaking with you guys, because this is why I do these sort of things. On some level, it helps me, but it also helps you guys, And yeah, I hope that's been good. I hope that's been interesting and insightful. That's become my sort of generic trademark sign off. But yeah, I'll leave it at that. Out of breath. I've been speaking a lot, but good day and goodbye, everyone.